All right, hey everybody, TG here. Let me get everything up and running. Looks like we should be good to go out in the social medias. Like we got it recording lots of different places. So good to see everybody out there today. And we're also over here in the essential room. So yeah, it looks like we are up and running, good to go. All right, so today I'm going to be talking. It's going to be kind of a little, special piece that we're going to be making about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general. Obviously, they've been on a tear, but I think that there's some more nuance that we can discuss in through here, and make sure that you guys know about the variety of tickers, Bitcoin miners that we're looking at. That some of them are doing better than others. So that's kind of the biggest thing that I've been talking about, is that not all of these Bitcoin miners are created equally. And some of them have taken turns leading versus other ones at different times of the year. And going into 2025, I think it's hard to not be bullish. Here we have Bitcoin getting well past 100,000. I think we all knew it was just a matter of time. But what they did do, and I want to show you just kind of how this looks and works, is we had a really big push right up to 100,000. And then you can see they pulled it back, and then they kind of flagged a little bit. And then I think there was some news that kind of popped it up a little bit over 100,000. Still wasn't quite ready, so they pulled it back just a little bit. And then this is really just a bull flag in through this area. And what I was looking at, because these are the futures, and I'm going to show you a couple ETFs that help demonstrate what I've been looking at. For the most part, you can see this thing was flagging along the daily 8 EMA, kind of dipped down a little bit further. But when it was about ready to go, and I made a video for the Moxie subscribers on Friday over the weekend for this, and then we talked about it last week. You can see here on the daily chart, you can see two bodies of the candles actually stayed above the daily 8 EMA. And on the hourly chart, what that looked like was a pullback and a test of the hourly 50. Pretty spot on. And that is then what had caused Bitcoin to finally start moving, to finally break solidly over 100,000. Now, if we look at something like BitX, and these aren't going to be perfect, so I'll show you a couple examples. This is the leveraged ETF of Bitcoin, and this is the one we're trading. And you can see same kind of thing, it just really ran right up here to the equivalent of 100,000. We actually took some profits right here, and then I wanted to see how long this thing was going to flag. And then we actually added back some more funds into it here, dipped a little bit further, but then you could see the same phenomenon. You had three bodies of candles stay above the 8 EMA. And what was really clear was over here on the hourly chart, right here, price got over and then pulled back and then held the hourly 50. And you can see that's the difference, because it sliced through 50 here, here, and here, but then you could see it finally held the 50, and that's when we knew that this thing was going to start moving to the upside. So there was BitX. You could look at GBTC. There's so many different ETFs that you guys can look at, and of course, they're going to be mostly trading the same and looking the same. You can see the same phenomenon here on, I'd say, GBTC. Now, if we look at this and we go back to, say, Bitcoin, and let's look at the higher time frame, because this is another very, very important thing. In a way, I think actually Tesla could be doing this coming up next. Tesla's on a tear. We've been enjoying Tesla. We cashed in 200% from TSLL, which was the leveraged ETF of Tesla, and it's still up like 260 something percent. So it's been a great position for us. But what I mean is, if you look at Bitcoin and you look back at its history from 2021 and that kind of area, I will say, before I get going this and show you a Fibonacci chart, back in the hype and the craze of Bitcoin in 2021 and then into 2022, mostly 2021, there were a lot of people that were doing all these mathematical equations and looking at charts and saying Fibonacci this and extensions and whatever, and everyone was projecting that Bitcoin was just going to keep going up even higher. Well, that didn't happen. A lot of people were looking for Bitcoin higher right into the spot, but Bitcoin basically got pummeled, and that was the whole market kind of did. Obviously, we went through a bear market, but more specifically, the small caps really went through a significant bear market. The bubble popped. They had to reprice all these things. And Bitcoin, not that it's a small cap, but it's kind of related to the financial area in that way, and the dollar and interest rates and money flow. It really got hammered. And you can see that this is where it broke the monthly 10 SMA. And then right here is where it got rejected by the underside of the monthly 10. These are important things. So the way that I look at the market is through technical areas and levels and moving averages and things like this. So when Bitcoin wanted to go up, look how it held the monthly 10. And again, look how it held the monthly 10. And one more time, look how it held the monthly 10. But when Bitcoin wanted to go down and it was like party over, look at how it got rejected by the monthly 10. This is a very important moving average that I like to use to just show me what is the overall context of a ticker or stock or product that I'm looking at, what I'm trading, because it's very important here. So, and the reason I kind of say all this, because even though people thought it was going to go higher at the time, it didn't. Okay. It needed to reprice, needed to take a break. And one thing you could do is look at something like this, where a lot of people talk about some things. And this is just to show that, for as much as people have ideas and project and say things like that, because I know a lot of people were thinking we were going to keep going higher from here because they looked at the past and they're like, yeah, little pullback, much higher. Then they get this much higher. And they're like, this isn't anything. We should keep going higher. The rest of the market has something to say about that. Interest rates, the Fed, the economy, life just has something else to say about that. So for as much as these projections are here, we do need to take them all with a grain of salt and make sure that we actually trade the chart that is in front of us and not some holy grail that we think is being, out there. That being said, this is looking pretty good. And I do kind of agree with this because I do think that this is the time, this is the market. The interest rates are coming down. The economy is doing fine. Small caps are really, really moving. Bitcoin's breaking out to 100,000. I just see all the reasons for Bitcoin to keep going higher. I just do. It's making sense right now. We went through a long period of Bitcoin consolidating, basing, then consolidating, and then consolidating again, and now it's breaking out. So yeah, this is overall a really good thing. You can look at this one with Fibonacci channels, and you can see they talk about here every time it broke the upper Fibonacci channel line, that's when it started to move up, and we're right there. We're breaking out. So yes, I'm very bullish on Bitcoin, everything Bitcoin related, and you could see that we've had a giant cup with declining handle on a monthly and weekly basis. That is really big, and this pulled back for about, I think, 7 months into the monthly 10 SMA. And so we've been waiting for it this whole time. Like, when is Bitcoin going to get going? Like, obviously it moved up. It's at previous highs. It needs to consolidate. Just waiting for it. And sure enough, we caught it right on time. So let's see. You can see right there is where we started to trade Bitcoin with the Bitcoin ETFs and all that kind of stuff. And you can see that was also where the Moxie price trigger was. So the Moxie indicator fired long at that time, and that's when we started getting in on it. And we're happy. We're well over, I think it was 150% on Bitcoin ETFs on all that kind of stuff. So having a really good time with this. Basically, it just took a little bull flag into 100,000 and then kept going higher. So we're just going to have to see where this thing wants to go. I'm definitely excited about it. It can stretch for a while, so I'm not going to say too much about it being outside of these 30 ATRs for now. It can keep going for a while. So yeah, let's kind of keep riding that. As far as individual tickers and some of the ones that I like the most, let me kind of run through some of these for you. So Mara, this used to be one of the big ones and very well known. It's going to be really interesting looking at this. And if you guys go back and look at your own charts, look back at 2020 and 2021, just so you can see what happened back then. I think we are going to be getting similar moves with that. They may not be quite as ferocious and just unrelenting, but I do think we're going to see some really big moves. The amount of volume that has been coming into the crypto miners and just Bitcoin in general and things like that has been extraordinary, and sustainable. It keeps happening, keeps coming. These are big deals. I do think that the trend that we're getting now is going to be more durable. And what I mean by that is these things are not really exploding out of the way, and they're not just ripping every single day. This actually seems really a lot more level-headed, way more consistent. It's like, oh, okay, they kind of figured out their lesson from last time. We can't quite make it go that crazy. We need to make this last. And so you can see something like Mara where they pop up and then they've gently pulled back, and now we're waiting for the next move. And that's really, I think, where we're at. We're really just kind of waiting for that next move. Even though Bitcoin is breaking 100,000, some of the miners haven't quite started moving yet, but I think that they're on their way. So this all looks really kind of nice and healthy, and you can see, Mara is right here at a previous all-time, or not all-time, but recent high, and so it needs to just kind of break out from there. And then, there's MSTR. Everyone knows about that one. And just remember that there's also MSTU and MSTX, and there are other ways to trade this. There's even MIS. I think it's MISTY. It's their new thing where they do a dividend. So yeah, make sure you guys kind of check out some of this stuff because MSTR MicroStrategy is really kind of the big Bitcoin player, and they're coming up with some interesting ways to do it. So better for worse, it's up to you guys to kind of decide that. But there's a lot going on with them, and they have a few different products to advertise. Now, there has been one thought in the back of my mind is, MSTR really ran up a whole lot before any of the other crypto miners did and really kind of outpaced Bitcoin itself. So I think that there could be a premium disconnect happening right now because Bitcoin's moving, but why isn't MSTR? Well, I think MSTR might have kind of overdone itself and gotten ahead of its valuations because if it's going to be a Bitcoin proxy, it kind of needs to kind of track Bitcoin. And there might be some other things with all the other products that they're creating and inventing and doing that, those people who really know these numbers may be looking at this, be like, yeah, it's a little too high right now. The risk to reward or the, premium difference isn't quite there. So I would just be a little bit careful with MSTR kind of right in this spot because even though it looks like it go higher, I'm not entirely seeing the rationale for it to move right here, right now. Yes, it's over the hourly 50, but the Mox indicator is below zero, and I trust that. And I just wonder if MSTR is actually going to take a little bit more of a breather in through here and just kind of let things settle and let the rest of things catch up. All right. With that, there's like Riot. This was another big one back in the day, but you can see it is really, some of these miners have really suffered while Bitcoin kind of got repriced. And as I said, not all miners are created equal. And some of these, maybe they'll kind of, maybe some of them will be like, I don't know what you call it, like, the runt of the litter. They look pretty bad, but then they outshine. Riot might be one of those. I was a little bit surprised by Hut. Hut looked like one of the worst ones, and now it's kind of one of the leaders, which is amazing and surprising. But I figured this thing was so far down and kind of dead when it suddenly came back alive. I was like, wow, okay, I guess this one's really wanting to get up there. And if we look at Hut specifically, I think it was last week or so, I was talking to people about this, and you can see this trend line that I put on, and look how it perfectly tested that trend line, and it kept going up from there. So yeah, Hut's looking pretty good. At some point, I'm sure these things will get a little extended, and we might have a larger pullback or a longer consolidation. But right here, right now, these are looking pretty darn good, and they look like they want to keep going. Wolf is another one. This is one of the ones we're in and trading, and boy, it looks like it is. Yeah, it looks like it's ready to go. I really like this one because if you just look at the chart, I mean, this looks super clean. It really held up nicely while Bitcoin itself pulled back and consolidated. This one didn't get smashed the way that Hut did or the way that Mara did or Riot. Those got really kind of smashed and got damaged in my eyes. Something like Wolf looks clean, looks ready, has been making these smooth highs and transitions this whole time. Look at the amount of volume that has been coming into this stuff. I really like a name like Wolf. I also like Irene for the same reason. Oh, look at that. Two very similar charts. Just looking absolutely fantastic. Been following their monthly 10s pretty well. Yes, they're very volatile. Yes, they can move a lot, but they are generally in an uptrend and they're moving pretty well and just huge amounts of volume that keep coming into this. Cypher is another one, and you can see the same reason. You just kind of step back, you're like, wow, that actually looks like a pretty good chart. But yes, in between, they can go from $6 to $3. So, there's some really big swings in between. But generally speaking, it's in an uptrend and it's mostly respecting the moving averages. And again, there's a ton of volume that's coming into this kind of stuff. And it sure seems to me like, right here, right now, a lot of these things are poised to go higher very soon. And you can see here, this looks like a really good bull flag coming into the daily 50. We're even seeing there's your double bottom, positive divergence, and we're getting a Moxie price trigger right in through here. So, just remember there's no guarantees with this stuff. This is kind of the Wild West when it comes to stock trading and things that are related to crypto. But for what I can see, I'm very interested. They're looking fun. And I think there's lots to choose from. For example, Hive. Hive was another one that was pretty big back in the day, but you can see here, this too looks pretty dead. I think that if a rising tide is going to lift all boats, and you can see it is getting ready, and maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised the way that Hut kind of surprised me. But I do think that I would like to pick which crypto miners I like because I do think some of them are going to be better than others. And Hive just doesn't quite look like it's going to get it done the same way that others are going to get it done. And then you can even step aside. You have coin, which is not a miner, but it's going to be in related in the same space. And of course, it's going to be moving with it. It definitely has recovered. It's doing well. It's almost at its IPO price. And so it's done a great job coming back to life. And if we kind of look over here, on the daily and hourly. We've just kind of been waiting. I know Henry, one of our traders, is in this, and he's kind of just been waiting. And I've kind of got the same thing. You can see I've got some marks in here, but I'm looking at it because right here we actually got what I call an inverse trampoline move. We had price over the 50, the Moxie indicator below 0. That meant it was not quite ready to go. I was telling people it was looking fine. I think we should go because I thought maybe a pullback and then it would keep going and then we'd get the Moxie indicator to fire, but it didn't. And so now we're just having to wait. Now, again, I know we are underneath the hourly 50. Usually that would be a red flag and a problem. But I think that this thing, along with Bitcoin, along with MSTR, they're really just flagging. I mean, they had such vertical moves that they've outrun all of their support, and they really just need to go sideways until somebody, somehow, math, whatever, says, okay, we're ready to go, and then we can start breaking up and out. So as long as you guys buy enough time or willing to hang on to these things, I think this is going to be okay. I would prefer that it stays above the daily 21. We'll have to see if that happens, but we are getting squeezes across the board. And I think it's really just a matter of time until this stuff kind of moves. So, oh, and then there's even stuff like CLSK, another one that used to be a big leader. You know, this looked really interesting up here. It looked like it was going to hold, and then it finally just failed. So that has now created some baggage for a name like this. Again, I think most of these are going to work because a rising tide lifts all boats, but just look at how much baggage is up here and look at where price got stopped. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Comes right up there, runs that resistance. Probably a lot of people up there being like, oh, I hope I can get my money back. And then it's just resistance. So we'll have to see if this pullback here into support and eventually it starts to move up. Again, I think these things will all mostly work, but if I'm going to be trading this area, I'm going to go stuff that has less baggage and has been holding up pretty well during the whole time. And for me, that's Wolf, that's Irene, that's Coin, even Cypher, those kind of names are looking fantastic. And then a lot of people have been asking me about CAN, C-A-N. This was another one that we made a bunch of money off of back in 2020. You can see all my marks, trading it from here and here and here. Great times. But then the bubble popped and everything had to get repriced. And this name, lo and behold, coming back. So you know what? There's so many names to be trading. I don't need to touch all of them. I haven't been trading this one. I've got my hands full with others. But yeah, it's looking good. Maybe getting a little extended up and through here. But that's why I'm saying each one has to be treated as an individual. But this has been a great move. Look how well this has been following the hourly 50. Definitely. But there will be a pullback at some point. We'll have to see if that pullback is viable and just what some of these names want to do. But as you can see, not all of the crypto miners are trading exactly the same. So do be careful when you go after them and see which ones you want to do. And I think for the most part, that pretty much covers, we have Ethereum, and I think Ethereum is going to be doing just fine. You can see it's up and it's doing okay. I'm sure there will be pullbacks along the way. It is coming up here to a double top area and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's just a whole bunch of things to choose from, really. And what, BTCT, is that another one? Yeah, see, that's what I mean. Some of these are a little bit rough. I don't know about all of them. That's a lot of volume for sure. But yeah, look at that thing, up and then just roll over. So do be careful. Make sure you have your stops and just recognize when something's not working, because that doesn't mean they have to. All right, guys. So thanks again for your time, and everybody out there on the interwebs and social media and whatnot. Feel free to come on over to the Moxie room. We're always having people come on in. We do $7 trial for 30 days. And beyond that, we're having a great time. And we have a ton of tickers that we're trading because this is the kind of market to get aggressive in. It really feels like 2020 all over again, but I think it's going to be a little bit more sustainable. So we're just having a great time. We're making some good money, some good trades. And I think crypto and Bitcoin are going to be part of it because, well, we already are. Okay, guys. So thanks again. And